Hello everyone, welcome to Bhadra IAS Academy. Today in this video, we are going to discuss the MSME development, the schemes announced by the government in the latest budget 2026-27, and this kind of topic will be very useful for your Nagaland civil service exam preparation because these kind of questions will keep coming in your exam, especially from the current affair point of view. So let us now look at the MSME development as announced in the budget 2026-27. Now if you look at this from the exam perspective, there were questions asked earlier, say for example in UPSC, because now we have a common syllabus of UPSC, APSC together. So if you look at this syllabus, faster economic growth requires increased share of manufacturing sector production in GDP. Specifically, the question deals with the topic of MSME, right? So they asked, what are the present policies of the government for MSME? This question was asked in UPSC 2023. Similarly, UPSC 2017, if you look at this, they asked about how to increase labor intensive production and suggest measures. Now these kind of topics are basically related to MSME because MSME sector is the labor intensive sector. Similarly, such kind of questions were also asked in the state level exams. For example, Assam APSC mains very recently held, they also asked about the importance of MSME sector in Assam. So if you look at the Northeast, we have mostly MSME sector domination in the industrial development scenario. So we need to study the MSME for our exam point of view. Now if you look at what is the MSME, how do you define the MSME? The government in budget 2025-26 gave a new definition of what is MSME. Now if you look at this one, the MSME is basically defined in two criteria. One is the investment criteria, other one is the turnover criteria. Now when we talk about investment criteria, what is the revised threshold for investment? For a micro enterprise, the investment is 2.5 crore, whereas the turnover is 10 crore. For a small enterprise, the investment is 25 crore and the turnover is 100 crore. And for medium enterprise, the investment is 125 crore and the turnover is 500 crore. Now, if an enterprise has the threshold of investment and turnover, then we can classify accordingly whether they fall into micro, small or medium enterprise. In general, all these three are considered to be part of the MSME sector. Okay. So now this should be our basic starting point for your answers in even mains exam. Now this topic can also be asked in prelims, as it was once very soon, just 3-4 years ago it was asked in UPSC prelims. Now if you look at the current budget 2026-27, what are the schemes or development policies announced by the government? These are divided into three parts: liquidity support to MSME, equity support to MSME, and professional support to MSME. So now let us look at each of them in a separate points. Number one, the government talked about liquidity support through the TREDS. I will explain what is this TREDS. It's a little bit of technical concept, but it will be easier. I will explain it to you. Now what the government is trying to say, when MSMEs are selling their goods to public sector enterprises or any other departmentals, right, or any other sector where they are supposed to receive the money, there is a delay in receiving the money for their sales. In such a situation, the MSMEs do not have enough working capital. That is what they call it, liquidity. They don't have enough money in hand to deal with their purchase requirements, whatever. So now government has announced a scheme called TREDS. So what is this TREDS? How do you understand this? Now TREDS is an online platform where the MSME can put their invoice, that means their bill, for getting some money from financial institution, basically for selling the unpaid invoices at a discount rate. What does it mean? So let us look at this one. Let us try to understand. Suppose there is one MSME and there is one public sector enterprise. Okay. Now what happens? The MSME sells goods to public sector enterprise. Okay. Then what is happening? The public sector enterprise has to pay the bill, the invoice, they have to clear it. Okay. So then what happens? There is one financial institution between the MSME and the public sector enterprise. Now what the MSME can do? The MSME has sold some goods to public sector. The public sector has to pay money to MSME. So the bill is pending unpaid. Now what the government is trying to say, in this kind of situation, the MSME can take this bill invoice to the financial institution and sell this bill to the financial institution at a lesser price and get the liquidity or cash from the financial institution. So what happens? Money will go from the financial institution to the MSME. So the cash flow, money will flow from the financial institution to MSME, and the MSME will sell this bill invoice to the financial institution. Now this kind of system has been announced by the government so that MSME can easily get their liquidity, whatever money they require immediately for their purchase of raw material and for business working capital. Is this concept clear? So this is what basically government meant to say, the TREDS system. It's an online platform for financing the invoice, which allows the MSME to receive quick payments by selling unpaid invoices, that means unpaid bills. Clear? So this is a very simple mechanism, right? As I explained to you, MSME will sell the goods to the departments wherever. They will give the bill. If the bill is not paid, the bill can be sold by MSME to financial institution. Money will go from financial institution to MSME. Okay. So now with this kind of a TREDS, more than 7 lakh crore has been made available to MSME. That means a lot of liquidity, cash flow has taken place from the financial institution to the MSME. Okay. In addition, the government also announced they will introduce a credit guarantee support through what we call CGTMSE for invoice discounting. What is this? It is the Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprises. That is in short what they put it as a CGTMSE. Okay. So some of these kind of questions will be even asked in your prelims exam. Okay. So now this CGTMSE will basically boost the same concept what we explained, invoice discounting on the TREDS. So the lender, that means the bank, will have a less risk. Why? The guarantee will be given by the government through this mechanism. Okay. So these are all related to the very first point. Okay. And also for this TREDS, the government will link the government e-market, that is what we call GEM, the government e-marketing, which is an online platform for MSMEs to have their trade and also get their finance. Now we'll go to the second measure announced by the government. The second measure is called equity support. So what is this equity support? So government has announced that they have dedicated 10,000 crore SME Growth Fund so that the small and medium enterprises, they will get some support through the government funding. And also there was something called Self-Reliant India Fund, which was set up in 2021. The government said they will increase this corpus by another 2,000 crore. So if you look at the MSME development, the government has announced multiple schemes and policies for MSME development. Therefore, in exam also, direct question comes for what is the government initiative? Yeah, what are the various initiatives taken by government to develop MSME? So this is the second policy announced by the government for the MSME development. Now, if you look at the point number 3, the third policy announced by the government, this is called professional support. Okay, so this professional support announced by the government basically talks about extending help to the MSME. Therefore, the government has announced one concept called corporate mitras. Now, these corporate mitras are basically to help the MSME. Mitra is a friend, right? So the corporate friends, they are supposed to help the MSME to deal with various requirements, etc. Basically, in not a very big city, therefore they have given it in tier 2 and tier 3 towns. There are like emerging new towns, so where the industrialization can take place through the MSME. So if you look at the MSME development, government will promote professional institutions that deal with financing, counseling, advising, etc. So now the budget 2026-27 has clearly highlighted 3 important policies for MSME development. That's what I try to summarize here. So if you look at the 3 important things, first is the liquidity support, second is the equity support, and third is the professional support. Now each of these points I explained to you in detail. The liquidity support, basically what we need to understand is the TREDS, okay, for the MSME. And then we talked about the equity support, where they set up the growth fund and financing of the funds for the MSME. And third one is what we call the professional support for MSME through consultation, guidance, etc. through professional institution called corporate mitras. Okay. Now these are the topics that will be useful both for your prelims preparation and for your mains preparation. Okay. If you have any further query or you need any further information, you can contact Bhadra IAS Academy at 8638391721. Okay, so you can contact us at 8638391721. Meantime, you can also keep following our videos and we will give you more and more topics for your preparation. Okay, so till then, keep watching the videos. Thank you.